Well, hi everyone, this is Dr. Schroeder with this week's video introduction to week number 7 of our course in evidence-based practice. And well, pretty much by now, by the time you see this video, most of the heavy lifting for this class will have been completed. Most of your work, or the big part of the work anyway, comes primarily in that evidence-based practice part 1 and part 2 paper. And so I'm recording this on Sunday of week 6, so you have either already turned in or will soon be turning in that paper by the time that you read this, and congratulations. It really is a large amount of work with this whole evidence-based practice project, both parts 1 and part 2. Part number 2, the focus is on how you are going to essentially implement and evaluate. And so in week number 6, we talked about implementation and some strategies to implement evidence-based practice. And I think probably the most important thing that came away from that discussion would be that it's important for a nursing educator to, first of all, understand that they're a leader in their organizations, or an evidence-based practice implementer, I should say. It's not always an educator, although quite often it is. Usually it is the educator is the one that is coming up with new evidence-based practice. But it's important that they be leaders and that they really know how to win people over to their ideas and their ways of thinking, and anticipate resistance. Change is difficult. Change is hard. Change usually isn't easy. And so even the best changes and even the most necessary changes are ones that are met with resistance. Even the best staff can become very resistant if they do not see the need for change, or just have no desire to change. So that was really sort of the focus of week number 6. In week number 7, we have just one discussion question this week, and the discussion question is going to focus on your PICO and your PICO statement. And then you're going to discuss and write about how would you disseminate the findings from your evidence-based project. You want you to think in terms here of nursing research, and even though your evidence-based practice is not exactly the same thing as nursing research, there are a lot of common threads. And those common threads are that evidence-based practice does require data collection. It does require the formation of a hypothesis. And the idea is to see, does the evidence-based practice, does it actually meet that hypothesis? Does our expected outcome really occur or really happen? And if not, why not? And so therefore, in all evidence-based practice work, the educators or the nurse leaders that are doing this work are encouraged to get them published, get them talked about, present them at conferences. And so that's really what the focus of this week is. Remember that dissemination is not just how do you let your staff know about this. Usually the staff, it's pretty easy to let just the staff in the hospital know what the results were. But what about the wider nursing community or the larger healthcare community? How would you let them know? How would you make your data part of that evidence that other people could use as they go through and look to implement the same type of evidence-based practice that we're discussing here? So that's what the focus of this week's going to be. So pretty straightforward. I would expect that you should have your papers graded certainly by the weekend. It takes me a while to grade those evidence-based practice papers, so you may not see a grade. Some of you may see a grade relatively early in the week. Others, it may be a little bit later, but will be before the end of next weekend is when those papers will be fully graded. If you have any questions, as always, go ahead and let me know. I look forward, as always, to participating along with you in the discussion forums. I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you in class.